for that trailer to be built, or like the screen and all that just hit? Or are we live?
And we're on air.
Oh, we're live.
But to answer your question, yes.
That's really cool. I like it.
Hello,
okay.
everybody. Welcome to Dungeon Mechanics. You are watching Dusk of Achordia, the question and answer session. We will get started here shortly. But first, we're going to do some announcements.
Oops, I'm going the wrong way here. All right. Oh, still going the wrong way. I'm trying to get centered in the frame. It's not, my frame center is not lined up with the zoom. And so I was trying to get it corrected. Anyway, our first sponsor of the night is the Barkley Garage. The veteran-owned woodworking company creates homemade wood items sourced in New Mexico. Now available is a new line of Dungeon Mechanics. I didn't bring it over because I wasn't planning on rolling tonight, so I can't show it off. I'm so sorry. Hold on. It's on the shelf way back there. It right there.
Yeah, we totally do. They said not saying it.
Anyway, use the promo code MEC25 to get 25% off of these fine dice towers today, and tell them Dungeon Mechanics sent you. Now, while Zach is doing his amazing sponsor announcement, I'm going to go get my Dungeon Mechanics.
Yeah.
Well,
Wait.
It's my turn. Oh.
You can't see it. Damn it! I got it a blur.
Ah! There it is.
Oh, you have yours.
It's so pretty.
What?
I heard they love making cornhole boards. No, Nordic, they don't. I mean, they do. I mean, I don't know. Ask them for us.
Ooh, can we get a Dungeon Mechanic cornhole board?
Why is that a thing? Why are people just like, I want a cornhole board that looks like Dungeon Mechanics. No.
And then we can play
No.
virtually.
Our next sponsor of the night is Plus One Crafting. If you are needing affordable terrain builds for your TTRPG needs, Plus One Crafting has you covered. From a wide assortment of tile-based sets, you'll be all the rage at your next D&D session. Be sure to head over to the link in the chat and put in your order today. Use promo code MECHANICS to get 25% off any order over $50. And remember, adventure shouldn't cost a fortune. I tried to drown it out like Ashley does.
Okay.
And then this next one's
He's got those talents, though.
Oh, you're doing the next one too.
Yeah.
Okay.
Okay.
I'll hold. Yeah.
Now, wouldn't you like to never have to worry about videos being demonetized again? With our next sponsor over at Epidemic Sound, the sound gods have you covered. With over 35,000 tracks and 90,000 sound effects, there's definitely a sound for every mood or occasion. Epidemic Sound links to all your social media accounts such as Twitch, YouTube, TikTok, and more. Simply click the link below and sign up today to get started on your subscription. I don't know why Ditch is country now, but here we are.
I do declare.
I do declare.
Oh, Epidemic Sound. Okay, is it finally my turn?
Yes.
Great. I'm so excited. Everybody, hey, guess what? I got a promotion. Yep. I was just reading dumb old other stuff before. I was doing dumb busy work before. But now we have a sponsor, and now their words are going to be coming out of my mouth. Those words belong to Underground Oracle. Yay! They're our next sponsor. Okay, so guys, wouldn't you like to have unique content created by best-selling writers and game designers? Okay, I know I would, because I can't do that. So, well, you know who can? Underground Oracle. They got you covered. With their supplements, you will gain access to 5th edition resources for both sides of the screen. Their content comes in a wide array, so a lot of things to choose from. It's super affordable, like what, $3 a month? That's nothing. And it's $3 a month via Patreon and Ko-fi. And in the event that's too rich for your blood, I mean, come on, don't lie to us, because it's not. But they've got a backup.
I don't know gas prices.
They've got a backup. They'll take care of you with free content that is offered each and every month. So they also got free stuff. Everybody likes free. Everybody can check that out. And you can check them out by clicking the link below. I hope it's there and I don't look like an idiot.
I think it's to the side.
Or there. Why are we all pointing in different
Oh,
directions?
no.
Anyway.
No, it's that way. It's that way.
There's a link, and if you can read, it says undergroundoracle.com or drive-through-rpg.com. Go visit them today, because that's how we're here. They put their words in this sweet little mouth so that we can continue to play D&D.
I've never had anyone describe their own mouth as like a sweet little mouth.
He's like he like plays both the victim and the bad guy in the movie. Oh my god, what's the name of the movie?
It's a movie.
The Burt Reynolds
Oh, I know.
Sweet Little Peach. Coming to theaters.
You sure do got a pretty mouth. You know that one.
Oh,
my god.
Swing Blood.
Deliverance?
Right.
Deliverance.
no.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
I got one right.
Yes. Like I had it in the tip of my tongue until I literally was about to say it, and then it was just like left me.
Wait, why did you think of that?
Because he was talking about his sweet little mouth.
Oh, there we go. Full circle. Here we are. We are back.
I'm yeah, let's start over. Yep.
YouTube, guys, we have a YouTube. If you would like to just constantly hear us talk about sweet little mouths,
Sweet little
replay,
mouth.
on like quick rewind sessions, you can check us over at YouTube with the link below in the chatter box. Again, there and then down. You can catch all our previous episodes, which I think y'all are at episode 6 currently, so the next one will be 7, because that's how math works, boys and girls. But yes, not only Dusk of Achordia, but all of our shows here on Dungeon Mechanics, and there are hours and hours and hours and hours and hours and hours of content over on YouTube. And as soon as we get 100 subscribers over there, we'll be able to get our own custom URL, which will be fun because it'll be like YouTube/Dungeon Mechanics. But yeah, that's
That'll be nice.
That's where we are. Let me start some Muzak for my ears because I have to have something playing.
Moo.
Oh, I need to pull up my character sheet.
You just told me to moo.
No, Muzak. Like moo.
Moo. Gosh, what else? Like, how many times do I have to do it? What's your deal?
God, what is happening?
Well, people in the chat probably get that joke.
This stream went off the rails in the very first sponsor announcement. It happened.
Yeah, and there's only there's only 2 people who are doing the Q&A. So you got the questions. I probably don't have the answers. So this will be fun, me making them up.
So for those that don't know, Question and Answers is a chance for you to kind of recollect on the past episodes up till now. We try to avoid spoilers, so there might be some questions that we can't answer yet. But aside
Like
from that,
spoilers from future episodes?
yeah, like going forward spoilers, and then maybe there might be stuff that hasn't been revealed yet in the the shows so far that we'll let pan out normally, but there's still enough content to draw from as far as what all has happened, because a lot has happened since episode 1 for those who have been keeping up. The other thing is, normally when you're absent from a question and answer session here on, I guess, Dungeon Mechanics Now, you get turned into a sock, but
Yes.
I instead I've got like, I'm a ranger glove. I'm a ranger.
Are we all just like grabbing things?
That's
like,
not.
One of my like my draw finger.
I got a sock in here somewhere.
Oh hello, I'm just like whatever my name is right now.
I'm Knox.
I feel like grabbing my loaf of bread to be Narissa. Like, I fucking love bread,
classic.
guys. I fucking love bread. But yeah, you normally get turned into a sock puppet, and then it's a whole thing. However, this week has been crazy, and I haven't been able to polymorph shape the Ashleys into socks. And then Corey is here somewhere where...
Yeah, he found a loophole where he just
like,
logs in
I'll be
and
there. Oh my gosh, there's so many socks. Is that ditch?
Oi,
Oy.
I'm too busy helping my wife being a good husband to answer your questions.
Sounds just like him.
It really did.
But currently today there is a special redeemable 1 point only channel point reward that allows you to ask questions for the player. So if you in chat can think of anything that we're not asking ourselves, be sure to utilize that channel point reward, and we'll rotate those questions in as soon as possible. So from earlier today's session, there is a question that I want to carry over almost immediately so I can see where everybody's brain noggin is in their current state. You can either go from your player and your character's perspective, because it might be different, or just give us whatever. But the question is there a leader of the party? And if so, who is it?
This is funny. This is a good question. Because everybody wants to be like me. No.
Yeah, I'm the leader. Ooh.
I think Knox would say, yeah, it's like, it's me, but
They just don't know it yet.
yeah, exactly. It's my bar.
Which I
I'm
think
the leader.
Yeah. I actually I'm actually gonna say it's the other Ashley. Eventually.
Narissa?
I mean, not now. Yeah. I don't think it's her now. But I think it's going to turn into that a little bit. Because, well, I can speak specifically for my character. Guy has no interest in being a leader. Maybe more so just like old man sage advice. Or
that makes
cautionary
sense.
tales.
That's almost, I would say Mal is a lot like that. He's like, he may not be a leader, but he's certainly not a follower. In terms of, he's not following someone else as a leader, but he will accept like, a team strategy or a team plan. But he's not gonna say right now he's not at that place. He's been a loner for so long. He's not at a place where he's ready to say, I'm your guy. I will follow you, do whatever. But he's now he's where the most important thing is protecting the kid and getting ready for us to battle. And I don't think anybody has stepped up to take a leadership role in terms of an overall strategy yet.
Yeah, especially for Maul. I know he's been a loner, but almost I guess he's looking for someone to earn that respect,
Yeah.
like earn his respect, which for someone who's like worked by themselves, that takes a long time.
Yeah.
I think guys used to fitting in a hierarchy, like he already has like established his like who he is, and he's like kind of comfortable with that in a way. Um, so I think for him, it's if you want to make all the tough decisions, go for it. You know, if you want to do that, that's fine. I really don't care. And Ditch will probably try to
Say that
murder his way to the top. And so as soon as Ditch is like, there's a leader. I didn't vote for him.
Yeah, I agree. And here's what I'll say about Ditch, and we'll let him answer. But my suspicion about Ditch is that he's like, I don't give a fuck who you are. You're not my leader, and that's the way it'll always be. That's Ditch. He has his agenda, and that's all that matters. Right now,
at least for now.
yeah, that's what I feel like in terms of Ditch. Yeah, for sure.
Interesting. Let's see, would my ideas change any?
I also feel like Rissa's just kind of like the straight, the like in a film term, the straight man in this a bunch of weirdos basically.
She's been so quiet too in terms of group interaction. She answers questions and she has things to say here and there, but she's very reserved because she was the last one to join the group. And so she's just kind of along for the ride right now, but kind of holding back in terms of this is Mal's observation of her, is that she's been good, but she's quiet and reserved so far, and is probably holding back. She's probably got skills that, you know, that would surprise him. I mean, the bread alone is amazing.
Oh my
The
god.
bread she doesn't make.
Right.
Okay. Before I think of the next question, do y'all have any lingering thoughts currently?
Yeah, how's my character gonna die? Tell me that, Stacks. Look into your crystal ball.
There's just so many different things that guy has to go through.
Yeah,
It's hard to say exactly.
Man, I just love this dude. I'm so excited to play him. I'm ready to get back to our regularly scheduled programming.
Which that's changed too.
Yeah, I know. Yeah, but I also appreciate that too, because that gives me some room to like work around too. So that's nice.
For those in chat that don't know, starting next month, I gotta make sure I remember this right because we just did this earlier and I was like, no, they're the other days. So basically, moving forward, and I don't want to laugh.
We're the first and third Tuesday, or the first and third Thursday.
First and third Thursday of each month. So if there's a month where there's 5 Thursdays, then on that 5th Thursday will be dark or not here, or doing like
we
a
might have a
crazy one
special
shot, like something cool. So
Where we're all babies, and our moms left us in a Walmart.
okay, we get it. Y'all are orphans. It's fine.
Yeah, does he make any orphan questions?
Oh gosh.
I feel
In
like
context,
there's
it's
bound to
been
be some orphan
determined that
questions.
pretty much the entire party is orphaned in some way, fashion, or potential way. Starting next week. Yes, so next week we'll actually be here with Dusk
Yep.
on the 4th, and then the 18th is the next time we'll be here for Dusk. And then Dawn will be on the opposite weeks,
morning.
which it kind of helps because y'all are technically an episode behind, and that was like eating away at my OCD on like a sub level because there was a day that Dawn had an episode and then we weren't able to do an episode for Dusk that afternoon. I'm like, no, they're not mirrored anymore.
Yeah.
The two worlds must mirror
They
each
must
other.
always be in tandem with one another.
That's what I want to know as a player that I don't know, but I can't ask you that question. It's just like,
I mean, you can ask it. You might not get the answer that you desire.
in what way does our world intersect with theirs?
So, the easiest way to kind of explain it is, everyone knows how, like, the Feywilds is like the mirror to the Shadowfell in regards to like lore and things of that nature. So imagine Diademia, except inverted in a way that it's like the mirror opposite of each other, and then that is how the landmarks of Achordia is set up. Not necessarily same interactions, like you might be at a beach in at a lake in Diademia, and then that same location in Achordia might be something completely different, like a forest or something. But it's still
okay. It's not like
landmark wise roughly the same.
But the continents still line up.
Yeah, but it's like mirrored.
Okay.
It's like you take the Diademia map and you went whoop.
Okay. I get what you're saying. Yeah. So, yeah, it's not. Do things that we do affect them, and vice versa? Vice versa.
The short answer is yes, but the long answer is maybe. It depends.
Also, yes.
Because there's still like protection stuff in between, so that like, I don't know, if somebody
Right.
rammed a
Oh.
continent or
Cross
something
it.
into another continent, it wouldn't completely wreck the other area. But there's certain things that work in unison with each other.
New mission objective is to find the weak spot and crossover.
So I'm about to like come clean and admit something. I haven't been watching the other series,
I mean, it's fine.
but
They're not watching us. I mean,
is like, you know how gods have abandoned Achordia, right? Do they have the same pantheon issues with no gods, or did they have the gods that were created at the end of
Ooh, I actually like these questions because it's stuff that wouldn't come out in game as easily.
like we lost our pantheon and the only deity available is the Phoenix.
they're like creating it, right? In a sense.
Well, it was already, we created it in a like short series
Yeah.
Right. That's it.
at the
So the pantheons are different between Diademia and Achordia. However, because of the mirrored aspects, it's also sort of connected in a way that the gods that were placed over Achordia, because they're technically the abandoned gods, think of it as they just kind of had other stuff they wanted to do besides look over a world. So a particular event which will come out at some point will dictate like why the gods essentially are just like, and we're done. But because of that, because the pantheons are different, it kind of sets up a weird imbalance in a way. Because like in Diademia, you have all these gods. I mean, they can't like physically interact with them, but like they're out there. And then in Achordia, it's like, well, we had gods, but they're not here anymore. So then you have that whole series of events that
Yeah, I love the vibe that Achordia has like started, because it's just like I think I had a quote like a couple games ago where he was just like, all the heroes have died, or there's no more heroes, basically. Like there's nothing to hope for, nobody to pray to, no one's coming to help you. Okay, this is just this is just hard life. Deal with it.
Dusk
Yep.
has the superior time slot.
That's true. I mean, I'm not gonna be able to watch Academia live.
Mhm.
And for me, with all of everything else that I watch and try to keep up with, catching up on Diademia, it's difficult.
Which is
Although-
why I like the direction that the two campaigns are going at currently, because there's not as much focus currently in the story of why there's that split, that like mirror split between the two worlds, because like people just don't ask that kind of thing on a daily basis. So it allows a bunch of crazy stuff to happen over in Diademia, and then also a bunch of crazy stuff to happen over here for y'all that kind of like wool over the eyes. Don't look over here at this thing that no one should be asking about, because y'all got like chaos creatures to worry about and stuff. So I'd like later in the campaign for that to finally start to like, you start to like see behind the curtain a little bit, and you'd be like, oh, there's more to all of this. But then by that time, like, so much has happened over in Diademia, and then so much has happened over here that like, where do you find that like happy medium sort of thing? And
No, that's where do you find that?
there's just so much, because like, okay, so each of the games currently have 5 dedicated players now, which is how it's kind of supposed to have been since the beginning. But the main part is that each of you as players to characters, your characters have like really integral parts of the main overarching plot, whether or not they're aware of it or anything like that. So because of that, all of y'all's choices, like now and tomorrow and moving on in the future, are all going to be slowly revealing different lore bits about this world that you're all living in. And then you can kind of vicariously see through like Ditch's eyes a new way of seeing Achordia, or you see through Maul's eyes a new way of seeing Achordia, and each one of y'all's like backstory is gonna kind of open that up more for everyone. And same over with the other show.
Just get to walk a mile in Ditch's little bear goblin feet.
Yeah, in his feet. I don't think he wears shoes.
Yeah.
Oh. His little goblin toes are out and about.
He's got the shoes with the like opened front. And like the holy socks. You know which ones you're wearing. You know. Any other questions?
That I mean, I could probably think of some.
Well,
Why are all the NPCs hot besides the bear?
First of all, you got to keep track of all my campaigns. If the NPCs ain't hot, then what we doing out here? Like,
that's true.
Yeah, you're really just trying to get like some like orgy to happen in game. Like,
well, like think of it this way. I mean, obviously,
we'll party.
If you like how the Baron looks, I mean, there's someone out there for everybody.
Yeah.
Aesthetic wise, but like, I think by having most of the NPCs be hot, it kind of skews slightly, or like, not like objectifies or anything, but like it forces you into like, are they who they claim to be, or is there like something else there?
Sure.
And you have to like look behind the hot to see
Yeah.
if their
I'm
NPC
so just
character
yeah.
holds
You
substance.
can't get distracted by the hot,
Yeah.
or you won't
You're
learn
like,
anything.
oh gosh,
Yeah.
well.
I can't even remember why I came here.
Oh my gosh. But yeah, that's like a running
Something
joke
about pasta.
from Fate, especially with Kate, because like I would always have them fight people, but all of them would be hot, and it would just be like that Squidward comment of like, oh no, he's hot.
Yeah, because I know the people that you sent me.
Oh yeah,
For
because I
Birdie.
was helping.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, I guess they haven't even come up in the story yet, so spoiler.
People were like, what?
But anyways, yeah, you sent me that and the images of basically everyone we met except the Baron. The images that
The poor Baron. He's just
I know
out
the
here.
game I missed where you were like you put up Lilith and what was the other something
Oh
like
yeah,
vinaigrette.
Vinaigrette. She's got like the hot girl energy.
Yeah, both
Lilith's
of them I was
got the
like, gosh, dang, what is going on?
I'm
How
just
are we
making
supposed
y'all
to-
like question every
Yeah.
fiber of your being. It's like, why am I attracted to all the NPCs? What's happening here?
Wait, I don't think we're supposed to trust her, but there's just
Yeah,
something
she's like
about her.
stabbing you. You're just like,
Yeah.
what?
Yeah, harder. Okay.
Oh my gosh.
Oh, I don't know.
So
Let me think of some more questions. Anybody out there got some questions?
Yeah.
Some cues?
give us them questions, yos. I'll be right back, but think of that, and then when I come back, I'll ask another question if we haven't figured out one by then. But we're still live. I'll just be right back.
Okay, we are still indeed live.
What's he doing? Is he going to?
I don't
This was
know.
unplanned, audience. For those
Maybe
of
he's
you,
bringing back a surprise.
I think he
this
is too.
silence.
So for
Yeah,
those of
okay.
you in the viewing audience, we, Zach and I, we're not aware of what he is doing because I think he's up to something. Honestly,
This random pause in our Q&A is brought to you by Barkley Garage. You know what? They did this. They made a sweet little dice tower for. Oh, he's back. Okay.
Yeah.
Well, yeah. They're cool and stuff, and they can do that for you, Barkley Garage.
Oh, you decided to do a promo ad instead of
Dude,
figuring
I'm
out
throwing
what
them in.
the questions were?
No, I'm helping out the people who help us.
we thought you were pulling something, but apparently you were just going to get a drink.
Yeah, I was getting DoorDash.
Yeah, you
at
went
the
to get a
door.
Baja Blast.
Just had to go like 10 steps. I'm making sure my food ain't getting snatched.
I thought you were going to come back in some sort of friggin'
No.
costume and like reveal something to us.
I can
Nope.
reveal these burritos real quick.
Man,
Baja
I-
Blast.
I can't wait till the next time I get to Albuquerque and get some real good Mexican red and green chili with my.
Oh yeah, that's straight.
Food.
That is top of the line
I
right there.
always
Red and
order
green,
at
you're
Christmas.
doing Christmas?
I always do it Christmas, but green is my favorite. But I feel like I gotta go with the red, just because I'm there so rarely. I gotta live it up when I'm there.
I feel like whenever I have red chili, it's just like, it's the extra chili, like the chili that's like, I'm chili! And then green's
Yeah.
like, yeah, we get it, chili. Like, just calm down, man. It's fine. And then like green like hits a little bit different, but that's
It
that's
does.
it.
It really does.
So, since since there's no questions, Brent, as your character, I'm trying to think of stuff that's like not asking to stuff backstory or anything that hasn't come out in game yet. I guess in a
Mhm.
way.
Did you
So that's a
see
little
the last
difficult.
episode, Zach?
I was able to watch like 40 minutes at work today.
Okay.
I was y'all were in the middle of combat. But so I didn't get to finish it out. So yeah, I apologize for stuff that may have been revealed at that point.
If you've seen that far, you've probably seen Maul's combat interaction.
Yeah. So
Yes.
yeah. So I'll tell you, it was a little disconcerting for him at first when he all of a sudden was facing full-grown versions of him hatching from these pods.
Yeah, that was really creepy.
It really freaked him out. And then
He thought it was gonna be spiders.
yeah, I did. And
That's
then
way worse.
and then he was like, these motherfucking abominations are getting destroyed, and he just let them all. He's like, all you motherfuckers are on fire. And
Yeah, that was kind of slightly tied into my question, but like, so that is a good point. I guess now, are those just for him? Is that like his species, and we found out how he sort of kind of what he came from in a way, or was that could
We
happen
didn't
to any
find
of
out.
us?
We didn't
There's
find
abominations
out.
for all of us.
But we didn't find out. But we suspect that because the chief magistrate wizard asshole took our blood, mine and Ditch's.
Oh yeah.
He used our blood, and that's what his assistant or that other dude suspected that he did.
Oh, Balthia.
Yeah, Balthia. That's what we believe at this moment. And
is that, from Maul's perspective, what he has to convince himself to be able to like move on from this moment?
well, he has no reason to believe otherwise.
Right, because yeah, he
I mean, he doesn't have any reason to suspect that there's anything special about his origin.
Mm-hmm.
But it was freaky deaky, I'll tell you that.
Yeah.
And and we can talk a little bit about Maul's class that we haven't talked about. Although, if you've watched the combat a couple of times, you've seen it. Especially this most recent one, that he's a straight up barbarian. He's not a multi-class healer or anything like that. But he's a special type of barbarian that gets a special type of rage that allows him to cast flame and healing spells. So because he was continued to worship the Isildur, the Phoenix deity, that somehow he didn't realize it, but he was getting, something from that. And she had begun granting powers to him that he's able to call upon in his moments of great need during his rages. And whenever he casts a spell, he is he doesn't have his normal damage resistances or anything like that. He loses all that when he casts a spell for that round.
So here's a question I have for your character, and I don't know if this was answered in game or not, but I'll ask it anyway. Is that so how does, if he knows nothing about how he came into this world to be who he is, all that business, how does he know he's tied to this deity?
Do you know anything? Do you know anything about? Okay, do you know anything about the? So, I can't think of the name of the author, but it's an author that did a different twist on the Frankenstein monster, and he is timeless, existed throughout the years, and he is just like a huge beast of a man who can still blend in with society, but he has like special powers. Like he can move like speed wise. I can't remember. I can't remember. I think it's that the name of the author that also wrote like the Odd Thomas books or something like that. And I haven't read them in like probably 20 years before I was ever in the army. It's been a long time, but kind of, and it just hit me that that's kind of what he is, but he doesn't know that. And so, but that version of the Frankenstein monster is very religious, very into the Christian religion, I think, if I recall correctly.
But that's
And so
interesting.
he's kinda,
That's interesting as to like why would you be? Because like you don't know the concept of such, like you don't the value of it or anything like that. So that's, I mean, is it just like almost as much as he knows that he's magic, he feels like the way he connects with his abilities because they're given to him in a way? So he can connect then to that deity and understand that maybe there's something there, but you did name it, so I didn't know if you had like another interaction with this deity before this game.
I think, I don't want to get into all of the backstory, but there's sort of a reason in terms of that hasn't been revealed yet, that why he worships her, and I'm kind of dancing around it, and I'm trying to figure out the best way to describe it. But he has a sort of a reason, or at least it didn't start out as significant, but it has become significant.
Sure. Okay. Yeah, I just couldn't remember maybe if you had said like, oh yeah, before I met you guys, like this, she came down to me and caressed me in a garden or something. I don't know. Whatever. Whatever. Dude, I don't know.
It's
all
not
your
that
NPCs
dramatic.
are hot. I don't.
It's not that dramatic, but he is not, when he saw her in that square the first time that we all did, that was the first time he saw her like face to face in real life.
Yeah.
I mean, he knew who she was immediately, but that was the first time he saw her.
Huh. Well, that's pretty cool. That's a big moment. That's a significant moment for him.
Yeah, it was significant, and that's why I tried to play it off, but there was so much going on at that moment.
Oh my god!
With everything, it was like
that was a tornado.
Literally a fire tornado.
Yeah. Guy goes away for 30 minutes, and it comes back. Major shit show. Kid in the air, just like, wah.
And that's when y'all were in the Calistone district. Like
the Cloud district, I thought, weren't we? Or was that in between?
I think I called it the Calistone.
Yes.
It's like where y'all went to go get pasta or whatever.
Yep.
Okay.
That y'all did.
Yeah.
I can't believe the whole pasta thing. So all I asked was if one single character, if Knox liked pasta, because we were going to my family's place and there was more than likely dinner or lunch or dinner ready. So I just, and then all of a sudden everybody's getting pasta.
This metaphorical pasta was just like,
it was all they hoped for. We had goals, we had motivations, and they were like, no, we're not doing anything in this campaign until we get pasta.
So, while I'm thinking of another question, so for chat, before Dusk of Achordia started, I did a one-shot maybe 3 or so months beforehand, which I tried to get most of the players that will be in it to see if they would be available for it, but I think the only ones that were able to was Brett and then Ashley to join. So in that particular one-shot, a lot of stuff got revealed in a way that I almost, at some point, maybe one of these 5th weekends or 5th Thursdays or something, just like play it so that everyone can kind of like see it, but like it's weird because I recorded it in a way that it's just like the audio. So I feel like there needs to be like a visual representation or something, or like
You can dress up.
or like Mystery Science Theater where our heads are at the bottom and we're just watching a blank screen.
Actually, that or just like make a diorama that you like show.
But from that, a lot of the lore pieces were sort of initially getting placed. Think of it like a chessboard where
Sure.
it's finally like the board's finally opening up and you have a lot more moves that you could do. It was kind of like that. So I think it wasn't until the episode where the giant woman was about to fight you, and then Maul and Dash were talking to the magistrate, and then Ditch and Narissa were at the bathhouse, that's when, like, at least for Brent and Ashley, that's where like the first pieces started to like click into place.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah, and I was totally lost. Like,
Because you're
I
from
got
like the opposite point of view, where like meta knowledge, you don't have it there to pull from, so like none of this is pulling from any like source, so you're learning it from the get-go sort of thing.
yeah.
And
Yeah.
then everyone else is like,
Like, oh yeah, and I'm pretty sure like there was also it was almost the exact same time. Okay. Sorry. Okay, for anybody listening, I'm gonna come clean about something it's been on my mind. I feel like terrible about in game, or at least my character does, because so I mistook the person who apparated, who teleported to in front of Guy after the mentions of family. So I mistook him for someone else. So I don't think we got her name yet, though.
not she hasn't, no, because she essentially arrived at the mentioning of the family, which it's almost like, for those who've read the Harry Potter books, in the last book where Voldemort has his name kind of like enchanted to where if anybody talks about Voldemort, it's arcanely so that they know people are out there, so then they send like people to go like shut him up essentially, or capture him or whatever.
Yeah.
So it's kind of like
right,
that.
Right.
Where normally in passing by, if you're like, oh, come meet my family or something like that, like it wouldn't register. But if it's keyed in a certain way,
That's really cool.
then they're like, oh, someone's talking about us, let's fix this.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
You're fucking
So-
crazy.
I got them confused with. Hold on, I'm pulling them up right now.
And this is a character that's been revealed already, or
Not the Dashkins family, right?
so you thought it was like somebody from Dash's side?
Right. Yes.
Okay.
Or. Oh, cause no, I thought it was someone from Dash's side. What? Oh, wait, and the.
Technically, you're
was.
not wrong. It's just
So
It was.
it's just not the Baron side.
Right, and the Felcrest Syndicate is not Baron's family. Or they are.
Not.
Yes.
They are. Think of it like. Basically, if you. I'm not gonna say like it's the Rogues Guild, but like think of it like in the manner of like how rogues operate. like assassins and stuff. Imagine if you went to them and you're like, I want you to be our police force for this entire city. So like the Fellcrest Syndicate is the most shadiest, like insert Mean Girls quote where she's talking about like the fugly, like the whole in tandem thing. Like they are so bad because essentially the only people that would stop them is themselves, and they're not going to do that. So like what do you do when you're in a position like you got your promotion? Like what do you do when you're in a position to where you don't have a boss but you still do like shady shit on the backside? So
Well, you're just untethered.
yeah, like the
There's
Fellcrest
no
Syndicate has worked their way into Fellcrest so much that they pretty much control all 3 districts, or all the 3 main districts, more so than the Republic of Nulon and the Fellcrest Order could ever be able to influence in that kind of way. And that's from like a government to military kind of. What happens when your government and your military doesn't even have control over their own city? It's such a unique kind of like position everybody's in, because they're all like playing their cards very carefully. You don't see any of the people from Nulon just like, oh, the syndicate's like so bad, because like they'll probably get like snuffed out the next day. Like you can't.
Right. I kind of wonder. I'm kind of curious as if we can write in, or we can like figure out how my family, how they work within that dynamic, as well. But so
I'm sure that'll be discovered at some point.
there's a sister of the Baron, right?
No,
Or,
it's a different. The Baron's not.
There's a relative that can claim Dash, right?
So, just for clarity's sake, when Dash was a baby, he was in the possession of the Republic of Nulon for whatever the like. They found a baby on the side of the. They didn't, but they got in possession of Dash. And the only viable heir was whoever was essentially tethered to the child. So since it wasn't the Republic, they had to. It's kind of like if
they had to find them.
Yeah, like if a kid has parents and then they die and they go to the next closest relative. It's not like the next best relative. It's just like who else is out there that could raise this child. It kind of was like that. So Dash got picked up by whoever else was in the Oon family that happened to be the Baron. But because of who the child was when he was a baby, they knew that they couldn't just hand this kid over to the Baron with like all this magic and stuff that would be further influential for him and then everything else if unchecked. So they sealed it away, and then they handed over the child, and then they kind of like cleaned their hands of it and just didn't talk about it. Because the biggest event is, in order for them to get Dash, whoever it was had to face the family. And as the record states, like, this is unanimous all throughout Fellcrest. Anyone that's ever come in contact with the family is snuffed out. Like they don't exist. So
and there's a member of that family that's the one that teleported in front of Guy. Mm-hmm. Okay, so it's his like actual family, right?
Yeah, it's Dash's actual family.
That's where my lines got crossed. Okay, so this leads me back to the original point. I thought it was someone else. I think maybe from the Fellcrest Syndicate or something. I think there was just a miscommunication of who actually thought this person was when they showed up. And Guy in dialogue thought that this person was basically like meant to do him and this kid Dash harm and try to take away what this kid is kind of rightfully his choice, and guy said something like called her a cunt, and guy. Which he would totally say to a person who deserved it, but it's like he just called his aunt a cunt and then didn't realize it. I like, after the game was over, I was like, and I think we mentioned that we clarified it, or I asked that kind of the same question and found out it was not who I thought it was. And I was just like, oh man, I feel really bad. I just kind of just said that about his aunt or his family. Okay.
I had forgotten that she showed up with you because you weren't here for the last session. So I had totally forgotten that's kind of where your situation ended on the previous episodes. So yeah.
So it's gonna be a big one. It's gonna be a big return.
But it worked out that so much other stuff was going on and all of us were in different places. It just works out that we hadn't got to you yet in the episode narrative. So it's not like you had to be there for that episode, because
it's perfect.
So much other stuff was going on.
If we know that someone's got to miss, like in a following week, all we have to do is split the party into fours, and it'll be fine.
And the other three will each play out their scenario for about an hour each, and then we'll get to you in the next episode.
Talk about a DM's wet dream. I was talking about this earlier in the other question and answer session. It's like, y'all are making this easy for me to just be like, I'm gonna do some things and then y'all are gonna see if y'all make it out. But like the whole, I don't wanna reveal it, but what ends up happening at the bathhouse is a whole like thing. And then,
oh my god, it was.
And then what Knox ends up learning about was a whole thing. It's like it's so much, and it's all happening at the same time. And where normally you would have like, you'd be able to take a second and be like, I'm gonna process all this stuff that I just went through, all this emotional damage.
Yeah. You literally tied all of those interactions together. Like that's what you've done really well with. Is like it seems so far like one person's dubious or strategic plans, whatever that may be, is almost dependent upon, or at least tied into cause and effect with someone completely different, like in another field, another profession, another type of character race, all of that. So it's not like we're dealing with one underground criminal enterprise and then we're over here and we're dealing with like some politician, it's just, there's some sort of connecting weave in all of it. And you know what, maybe we should just continue to like split, and then we can
recommend that.
We can get all the outer little webs and we can pull them together to figure it out.
Cause like Brent was there in the bathhouse, like,
yeah, he could get hurt
based on how Ditch was. If his roles were not as they were, things would have been a lot worse.
Right. Yeah.
I mean, what he did, he can do whatever he wants. I'm not saying this at all, but he set up that interaction to where he could have been like, his character would have been done. He really could have like died. What he did. I mean, and then like not even taking the first opportunity to possibly escape. Holy shit. It was like,
I know, he still stayed.
He still stayed, and he's like, I'm gonna attack him again.
But that's the stubbornness of Ditch, that you're just like, his character would do this, but
his choices, like, exactly. His choices of like, he remains true to him, even if it's something like Ditch wouldn't normally choose to do. How he handles that choice is usually pretty spot on and very consistent, which is awesome. I mean, it's a great job, Corey. If you're listening or
He's
wherever you
the
are.
definition of chaotic neutral. I mean, he's absolutely the definition of chaotic neutral. He's like, he's a little, short ball of pure chaos, and maybe not neutral. He's got his own code, and he follows that code, which might make him a little lean towards lawful, which no one else understands that code, but to him, he's got that code, and he sticks with it. So maybe he's a little bit lawful, but I don't know how Corey would describe it. So who knows? But that's my kind of outside looking in thoughts on it. But he's definitely chaotic.
But
There's no way around that.
I will say we have to kind of like push back on.
Speaking
Okay,
of
go for it.
chaotic, welcome, Lady Chaotic, with the raid of 10 folks. I know
Nice.
it usually takes a second for everyone to
Oh,
kind of
yeah.
like settle in, but we are doing a question and answer here at Dungeon Mechanics for one of our shows, Dusk of Achordia. They are at their 6th episode as of last week. And a lot of stuff has happened in these 6 episodes. So
And
if y'all
even though
stick
you
around,
haven't seen, ask whatever.
oh
you
yeah,
know?
you can
That's why
ask
we're here.
anything for these characters. I love how Corey is playing Ditch, because as a DM, it like forces me to be on my toes, because like I don't know
He's
whatever
gonna do-
is gonna come out of his mouth. Like I can't predict Corey. Like he's the chaos factor. Cause like,
Well,
Maul has
yeah.
his ways, Guy has his ways, Nox and Orissa. They all have ways that are very in line to what you would believe their character would do in whatever moment. But Ditch is unpredictable, or snitch, or whoever he is,
Yeah,
based
you
on
don't
how
even know
his
who he is.
mustache
Yeah.
is like positioned.
Which it's really cool. But also at the same time, we do have to, as a party, push back a little bit. Because why are we letting Homie go do
Bitch is
things
here.
that a
You can never predict
Oh.
me. I'm unpredictable, bitch. Oops, sorry. Can we say bitch?
Well,
Yeah, we can say that.
there you go.
Oh wait, this one is
That's my cool
if
fun
we
voice.
can't if we can't
We
say
should do that
bitch or
voice next.
cuss words, then Stax has been very slow or ignoring his beep button.
oh me?
Mhm.
Never.
Look at me, I messed up all the zoom too. God, that's so ditch. It's so ditch is what it is.
There we go. There we go. You are safe. I mean, I don't know how to fix your camera right now, but we were just talking about you, and you shall arrive.
Yeah, that's what he was waiting for. He just stood
He was
beside
in
his
the crowd,
computer
just
the
like,
whole
"Wait
time.
till they talk
It
about
was
me, wait
like,
till they
I'm
talk
gonna
about
wait till they start talking about me. I'm gonna
Yep.
wait for it.
Provided chaos.
I have zero clue. Okay, just go without me. I'll figure out my camera. I'm here though. Hi everybody.
Hello.
Hey man, glad to have you here. But yeah, we need to do some pushback of why we let him, as a not very convincible, charismatic character, just go do those things.
Well, he was there with Narissa, who's like a charismatic
Who is that? You're
character.
right. That's very true. Who is that?
Except based on how the conversations were going with the rings, it sort of forced Ditch's hand, because he wanted to see what the Baron's reaction would be to all of this. So I think that's why it escalated as it did.
To take it back to the beginning, that's off to answer another question. To add on to my answer, that's another reason why I think Rissa will be Nar.
Nar
Well,
will
well,
be.
she will be the leader.
Nar.
It's because she has, she's charismatic, and those are some higher stats for her.
I think out of
Maybe it's just us blooming. She has to bloom. She is a
Yeah, she's got to
a
come out
pretty
of
flower.
she's got to come out of her shell. That's
Yeah,
for sure.
She's a pretty. She is a potent tea that has yet to been steeped.
I think in a party of the chaotic factor that y'all are, she's doing pretty well to keep up in tandem with what all is happening. Like, you got Ditch that like put his mustache on his forehead, and now he's like another guy completely.
Well, I feel like she's just collecting. I hope Ashley's just and Rissa are just collecting information. It's just this person's like this person's like this, and then she knows how to then process it and handle it as our character. And then that's how a good leader, because a leader doesn't just tell you what to do. They understand who you are and they put you in the position for you to like gain your own success, which then makes the actual party the most successful. So
Honestly, I'm a huge fan of there not being a leader ever.
right.
You know what? At the beginning of the stream, I said, "This is my opinion on what Ditch is probably like," and it was almost exactly what you just said. The sentiment you just expressed. It's exactly what I said you would probably say. So, as far as Ditch is concerned, for sure.
What do you mean? As far as a leader role?
Yeah, absolutely. That
No
Ditch is like, I'm not going to follow anybody. I I do whatever I want. There is no leader.
He'll push back on leadership. That's the problem.
Yeah,
Because nobody controls Ditch.
exactly.
Well, luckily there's 5 of us.
But I'll say this, Mal and Ditch have been kind of, paired up for a lot of it.
Mal.
And yeah, y'all got me calling him Mal. It's actually Mal, but anyway. Because y'all are always calling him Mal.
Character the wrong.
Yes. But he tries to take Ditch's chaos and just kind of aim it at something. He won't tell Ditch what to do. He's just kind of like, what do you think? Maybe what do you think if we did this, and just kind of aims it. He doesn't tell him what to do or how to do it. He just kind of, what do you think? And we're kind of on the same page with a lot of stuff.
I think in the event of the bathhouse, right? And if you don't know, basically we went to the bathhouse in the idea that we were trying to get information out of the Baron to figure out, what his deal is. How much does he know about his adopted son? Is he using him as a pawn, or does he actually care about this character? And it kind of came down where, Ditch didn't really see, like, he had it all intents and purposes. He wanted to go in there and be smart and be cunning and get answers. But when it sort of came down to it, and he's staring at this like terrible man, clearly doesn't care where his son is, clearly doesn't care about anything but himself, has already put out hits on him and his crew. That's where it kind of turned into all right, you know what? I'm going to do this Ditch's way. And that's where that came into play. And Ditch is an assassin. He's way more comfortable when his knife is against somebody's throat than he is when it's not.
Yeah.
He literally went spider monkey on him. He's like, he drank a lot of Mountain Dew and went spider monkey on him.
That's how we're gonna use intimidation. Not necessarily that you're gonna use intimidation, but we'll just be like, you better give us the answers we want, or we'll release the Ditch. And then you're just like on like Mal's back in like a sack, and you're like, like throwing out the mouth, like.
Yeah, I mean the character is built to strike first and strike hard, and what happens from there he doesn't really care. So that's what he did. I mean, he went into a fight level 4, and what I now know is probably like some sort of big bad that the team really should work to plan an attack on. He just went in guns a-blazing and stabbed fast and hard. I mean, anybody else I think would have been dead, but this guy was able to get out of it and then turn the room into some sort of like gore Chuck E. Cheese. But so
which isn't far off from the real Chuck E. Cheese, to be honest.
Yeah.
Band
Yeah.
name. That's like band name. Gore. Actually, Gore Cheese is my band name. Call it.
Gore cheese.
Gore
Pizza,
cheese.
It's raw pizza, brah.
Gore cheese. But yes, I agree with Corey in that respect. Cause like in the moment, I was just like, Corey, what are you doing? But also in the moment, it's like, but this is what Ditch would do in this moment, so it kind of makes sense. But I also have to like, so put it into perspective. Judgy DM stacks me. I hate the spell Silvery Barbs. Like, I fucking hate it since it got released in freaking Strixhaven or whatever. Because, and the reason behind it is because of how broken it is as being placed in the first spell slot category. Like, if it was a second level spell, I probably would still hate it and never use it, but I would be able to justify like it's a little bit more resources that you have to put in to be able to cast this reaction spell that can do so much in such a quick time. And
Yeah, but it's not that different from the lucky feat.
yeah, but the lucky feat is an actual like feat. You have to take like a level 4 dip and prevent yourself from increasing your stats or something like that to get like 3 lucky points of like 3 rerolls. Or you have like abjuration wizards that have their portent dice. Like they all have things implemented into their kind of like character class or like the feat itself to where you have to sacrifice a little to gain something. But a first level spell slot to be able to not only give disadvantage for the whole entire roll scheme, regardless of how much they're rolling, you can like make them re-roll with lucky and like they still would have to take the lowest on all of that at the end of the day. And in the same breath be like, and you have advantage. It's just like mind-blowing for me because it makes it like, why would you ever have shield? Like why? Like yeah, your AC would go up for hopefully the remainder of that battle, but depending on the particulars, like unless your AC goes up really high, shield is just like a defensive thing. It's just like, you can't hurt me this turn. However, Silvery Barbs works beyond just that reactionary moment where it's like, not only did I prevent you from being able to do something that you wanted to do, but I'm also gonna like buff us so that we have a higher chance of also harming you in the future.
Well, you know, and I'll say this too, if it makes you feel any better. I've had 2 characters. I think one was in a one shot and another one was in like in a campaign, in one of our campaigns, that have had that spell, but only because I actually took the feat Fey Touched. So I actually had to take a feat in order to get that spell, and took it as my learned spell in order to get it, because
but it's so
I did the foregoing of my
okay, so
stats.
Fey Touch, you still get a stat increase in bonus with that. Like it's either intelligence, charisma, or wisdom. So you're still getting like a little bit of something, and then you get like
you get a cantrip and a first level spell.
Yeah. So you're getting a little bit out of that Fey Touched.
And you can only cast it once per day.
Once per day is like, it's a lot for what it does. I'm just putting like, so I hate the spell. Like I just hate it. And I know exactly what type of characters would have Silvery Barbs in their arsenal, and the Barons like one of them. Like if you are out there with a halfling divination wizard that has the lucky feat and you don't have Silvery Barbs now, like what are you doing with your life? Like, are you really trying to make the DM cry, or are you just like out here for a little giggles fest? Like that is in essence what Silvery Barbs.
I'm usually out here for a giggles fest most of the time.
It's literally in my name.
Yeah.
But yeah, like there's a video out, like people don't understand how broken it is, because Silvery Barbs also can extend to like legendary resistances, or like, you know, when they choose to succeed.
Wow.
Really?
At that moment, when they choose to succeed, they have just successfully succeeded on a check, and you can silvery barbs them.
Nuh-uh.
Yes, you can.
I thought it had to be a
Rules is written.
roll.
Nope. As soon as they succeed on, I think it's like a saving throw or something of that nature. Like, read the spell. It's stupid. But that is how bad it is. Because, like, silvery barbs, like, legendary resistance. I choose to succeed. Well, roll again. And then take the lowest out of all that stuff that you just did. Like, that's how crazy it is. I can't understand it in my brain why it's a first level spell.
Okay,
I get
so
it. Yeah.
no,
Put it
that's
in the
not what it
letter.
says. That's not what it says.
What does it say?
It says once they succeed on an attack roll, an ability check, or a saving throw.
On a
They had
saving
to-
throw as well.
But they had to succeed on the throw. Not if it's a legendary. If it's a legend
it says once they succeed.
on the
once they-
throw,
Once
not
they choose to succeed.
on the throw.
Does it
no,
say
it
on
has.
the throw?
It says on the throw, on the saving throw, not
No,
on the
that's-
save.
When you choose to succeed with your legendary action, you're still like they're choosing to succeed on their
that's-
wisdom saving throw.
But that's because they failed the throw originally and chose to succeed anyway.
Yeah, but in
I'm
that
bored.
moment,
Zach, you want to have our
I
own
think
conversation?
a legendary.
Yeah, I mean,
I think the legendary save overrides silvery barbs. It has.
I
to.
mean,
That's-
so
it-
of course you're gonna find those DMs are like, you can't do that with silvery barbs. That's not how it fucking works. But rules as written, like not taking anything away from it, because a saving throw's a saving throw. They succeeded on it. This spell says when you succeed on a saving throw or an attack or whatever, I can silvery barbs you. I don't care if it's your legendary reaction. I don't care if it's your legendary resistance. You succeeded on it. I can use this spell. And that's
yes. Put
that's
it in an
how
email.
it's such a like meta spell because it's not about magic. Like you can read there's like 2 seconds of what the actual like mechanics of the spell is. It's like you wave your fingers and like some stuff happens. Like they don't fucking care about the like magic aspect of it. You're not casting fireball or doing anything amazing. You're just Wanda Maximoff wiggling your fingers for 2 seconds, and then now there's all this drama that we have to sort through. But because of that, like I understand as a DM, as a player, as someone that's just been playing Dungeons and Dragons, that whoever created this spell did it from a meta perspective and not from we're creating a magical thing perspective. Like they created it just so that they can piss off a bunch of like DMs down the line. Like it's a whole like stacks tandem of inceptions of
Is it? I did not notice. So guys, that was the portion on rant about things, mechanic things you hate. Now, if you hate a spell, go ahead and write in and send us all your suggestions on what spell you hate. Now, back to the Q&A. I actually think we had a question, but that person is either asleep or dead.
Did we? Did we actually? Okay. If so, I don't think they used the channel point. They might just axed it. No, so I don't want to go off on another tangent. Like the fix for that is all your DMs are gonna do is give you people that you interact with that have silvery barbs. That's the fix to a party that has silvery barbs. It's like, okay, now no one has advantage because we all have advantage. It's kind of like that. The way it's written, yeah, you can silvery barbs a legendary resistance. Yep. There's a whole video out there. It's crazy. I'm just like, I hate this fucking spell. I didn't realize I was causing so much tea in the chat.
I agree with Reaper though. If it's a legendary resistance, it doesn't matter if they fail, they've passed it.
That's yes, from again a meta aspect of the DM is choosing in this moment to not deal with any of the whatevers of as
Well-
all this is happening while Corey is drawing.
The players should know not to cast silvery barbs or try to cast silvery barbs on the DM's NPC
That's
that just
not
used a
good.
legendary resistance or a legendary save or whatever. So yeah, that's
That looks
just,
like Ditch's brother, Mitch.
Itch? It's Itch.
Mitch. That's just Mitch.
that's pretty good drawing with a mouse. That's pretty amazing.
Yeah, for real.
That's what's up. I'm a graphic designer. That's what it's all about.
That freehand skill, bro.
Look at that freehand. I haven't even started shading. Don't even get me started. What color eyes do you think he has? Probably green.
Mitch is poop brown. He's the mayonnaise of goblins.
Did I miss any cool heavy hitting questions?
And I don't know.
Question for everyone. What kind of overall story do you want to pursue with Dusk of Achordia?
Ooh, what kind of overall story? I'm thinking denim. I think just a basic denim. A lot of people are gonna say canvas, maybe some, maybe some sort of like wool.
I'm trying
blend,
to find out the word that.
But I'm all about
story.
denim overalls. Next question. No, wait, hold on. Where was the question?
Overall
Question for everyone.
was
What
The
kind of
overall story. Got it.
Okay,
Okay,
I like.
oh wait, they
I
clarified. They clarified. Sorry.
Oh, what is it?
Because I was a little
why does silvery barbs so
like,
much?
do you want your PC to have some vengeance, redemption, connection to others, growth? So I guess maybe kind of go around and what do you want? Hopefully, your character to arc. What do you want that arc to be?
I don't give a shit. Sorry, I just don't give a shit. I can't pre-plan what my character's arc should like. I need it to happen in the moment. I don't care if he's evil. I don't care if he's nice. I don't care if he turns into a bubblegum salesman. I need it to happen naturally in the fly in the moment of the story because planning it is just, it's nasty. I think if you've seen and kind of felt what he's about, like his basic, as far as Ditch goes, I won't speak for anybody else. His basic thing is he pushes back against any authority. He pushes back against any resemblance of family or help or anything, and where it goes from there.
That is coming from something, and that is going to be growth.
Maybe, or maybe he gets killed trying to. Maybe he gets killed trying to fight characters that are way higher than him because he's got that little goblin complex.
So, not to talk about silvery barbs again, but in the way that spells are written, I think Ditch was saved in a way. Because if we didn't go back into haste and see that it's a willing creature, Ditch would have been fucked. If you could just apply haste to someone and then instantly break concentration on it, and then they have to suffer the after effects of haste.
Right. Yeah.
Yeah, that was worrisome when it was it cast haste. I was like, isn't that willing? That's willing, right?
Yeah, it's got to be a willing creature.
But yeah, nasty. That was a nasty spell. That whole fight could have been so much worse than what it actually was. But what are you gonna do, man? You got I would love to say Ditch was humbled, but he definitely wasn't.
Wait, where's his mustache?
He was annoyed. Oh, what? Where's Ditch's mustache? Sorry.
That's Mitch.
I was like, something's missing. This is why it looks like Snitch, his brother. Yeah, there we go.
What would Mal like to the overall story or I guess arc in a way? I mean, what do you maybe project him?
I think he
reaching identity.
Right. Yeah. For him, it's pretty simple. I mean, he wants to he wants to find out who he is. It's almost like it's well, he's got what he believes is, and he actually in effect does have like amnesia, and he only remembers from the point where he woke up in like a building and came out, and this was like years ago, and doesn't know how he got there, hasn't found anybody that knew who he was. So for him, it's like the character arc is discovery. It's like who he is, you know, how he ended up in this city, you know, what's going on with him. In terms of his like growth or anything like that, I mean, he is who he is. It's not like he plans on changing who he is, even once he discovers maybe more about his origin.
We did learn that Mal can take psychic damage if confused, which I do like. Yeah.
Well, when he was facing himself in battle, all of a sudden,
like a Pokemon.
Yeah, I felt like at that moment he hesitated and was kind of freaked out, and I felt like because that was the first time he'd ever seen anything like that, I felt like he needed to take psychic damage, and you know, it made sense that I did that. I felt like, although, you know, in the end, what he believes happened is, I hope what happened is that it was just the asshole that took our blood, used it to create these evil versions from these pods, and that's all it was. So, and I think that's what it was.
We have a couple questions in the chat here. Oh, okay. Now they're rolling in.
Oh gosh, I put him on a 2-minute timer, but it's all backfired. Okay, so I think we answered Blue Joy's original question, sort of about like what we want to experience as y'all's players, characters. The next one is, I'm pretty sure Liv asked a question here not long ago. Okay, so who's your favorite PC in this campaign to all of you?
PC
favorite
player.
I mean, I think is it going to be unanimously Ditch?
I think he's the most fun, but I also really enjoy Nox.
I like the mystery of Nox a lot too.
Yeah, and she's just like, I love the way that Ashley's playing her. It's that it reminds me of my daughter so much.
I also love Nox. I think she's putting a lot into it. I will say my wife had to stop watching the stream because Nox was like giving her like PTSD of people like that she went to high school with.
Yeah.
The voice and the character was like too much the popular girl that like Casey's like I had to turn it off.
Wouldn't that be so cool? Wouldn't that be so cool if Ashley that was like the whole part of the characters? That's a ruse. Like she was putting that up because she thought she had to be like somebody different to like avoid confronting who she was before. That'd be crazy. Ashley, if you like that idea.
I think Ditch has a beer belly.
Like a little one, little pot belly, a little pot belly gobbler.
I'm gonna call it a pooch.
Yeah, a little pooch. Yeah.
Throw your questions at the screen and see what's
What was the question? Favorite PC? Mine so far. I mean, I just think I've had so many. Like Ditch and Mal is the buddy cop movie I've always wanted to see. I think, or like always like I'm a huge fan of buddy cop.
It will be
anything. Yeah. So I think I've been every time we get to go do stupid shit together and it just goes immediately wrong, or like we get in these weird loops where like somebody just asks a basic question and then it's about 10 minutes of Mal and Ditch going back and forth, completely either misconstruing the question or just or going off on our own tangent. It has been really fun. We've done it a couple. Even I've done even with Nox.
Yeah.
We've had a couple really fun the back and forths of every character. It's been really fun. Yeah. I will say that the one thing I'm bummed about is we haven't had as much Narissa to really kind of get an idea of kind of what we're dealing with. I really am excited to see her character. What am I doing? I'm really excited to see her character kind of come into the fray and really.
His belly got so big so quick.
Yeah. Yeah, I would like to see Rissa see where she kind of not really lands, but where the real jumping off point, the revelations and stuff like that with her character. I you know, it's really funny because like I feel like there's a lot of ironically emotional depth to my character, but it's like within Achordia, it's within a shit ton of NPCs and the relationships there and his interactions and his life in Achordia, rather than it's like this campaign just fell on top of his head, basically. Like these people fell on top of his head. So I mean, is that same type of guy gonna be within this party? I don't know.
I really enjoyed when like the first and second session, the whole time we were doing some weird stuff and making weird deals, and like Guy was just sort of there, and the whole time he's just like, I gotta go, like I gotta get back to my like people are waiting on me. I gotta get back to those people.
I have a life,
and we're like no, but like look, we murdered a bunch of people. We own a bar now. It's like we don't own a bar by any means. But we're like, it's so like, and Guy's like, I gotta go, and finally, like, Guy's just fed up. He's like, I'm leaving. I gotta go. I gotta go. I'll be back maybe later. And then immediately goes back, is like, oh man, crazy things happened. And then immediately like his like father figure or boss was like, fuck you, we're done. It was great. He was so invested in getting back to his life, and then his life just stepped on him. And it's like, we're not the family he chose at all. We're the family that, like, we're the second rate. We're like the rebound family that he now is dealing with, just to maybe have something to do so he doesn't wallow in the idea of loss and
well, yeah, that's the thing. Yeah, like literally something just wild, like literally almost like right where the campaign started, when all that something wild just happened to Guy, and like before he could even process it, he's all of a sudden with all these other people like jumping in. There's a Baron who tricks him into shit, and so like he's like, whoa, slow down. I have responsibilities and priorities, and then that turns out to not be the case, and it's just he's just kind of wondering, like wandering around Achordia and like trying to focus on goals, like, okay, let's help this kid now, trying to distract himself from maybe facing his own issues and like, I guess, where he goes from there. So maybe in that neglect is where he's going to kind of transform, good or bad. So we don't know.
So there's a lot here. I'll start with the ones that are actual redeemed. So let me ask a question here, but here's a question that I asked my crew. Would y'all sacrifice anyone in your party if it meant surviving?
Honestly, I'd sacrifice anybody in the party for 10 gold.
And we all just kind of shake our heads like, yeah, that makes sense.
Well, I don't know if that's true. I think Ditch is smart enough to where he knows that our value is more than 10 gold. So,
and that's what he desperately depends on you thinking that. So good. I'm glad this is working.
Like, I could get Ditch way more than 10 gold.
Yeah, and that's it. You're right. That is unfortunately your value in it's okay. It's been 7 sessions and it really has changed. It really is changing. I mean, he already sees Narissa as sort of a like he's apologized
At least
to
for
Narissa, which is like the
the
first time.
trash
Like,
can kid.
yeah, and the one thing Ditch cares about at all is like basically this kid that he now has to take care of. Like he sees it as maybe being bigger than something bigger than himself, which is actually exciting for him because he's never had anything. So, but yeah, the rest of you are disposable. Just, I will say this, just as disposable as he views himself.
Sure.
I
that
think
makes sense. Makes sense.
the implementation of Dash to the group has been that outlet that everyone needed, for the most part, to redirect their focus in a way. Because, like, you have Guy who's been sort of ostracized from his family, so he doesn't really have a place he can go back to there. But then he gets put in a position where, like, there's this kid that he has to take care of because of whatever. So it's like if anything, like a distractor focus for him to, like, worry about right now.
Right.
Similarly, with, like, Ditch, there's a new layer of Ditch that has been awakened when the aspect of, like, Dash and what his choice will be in anything kind of is put on the forefront, because it's almost like, and I don't know, I don't think Corey knows either because we don't know what Ditch's backstory is, but it's almost like there's a part of Ditch that didn't have a choice in some of the aspects of his
life.
That's
you're hitting it perfectly. Yeah.
So when he sees this kid being in, like, a way bigger position where, like, stuff is affecting him on, like, a way crazier level, like to the point of, like, sacrificing himself for a chaos creature, it's like triggering something. And
it is. It's this idea of like choice, and Ditch feels like he's always been devoid of it his whole life. And then when this kid comes along and gods are saying it's his destiny and he has to, and all these people are trying to control him for his like own power, it really set something off inside of Ditch where he's just like, no. Like I don't know if it's that he really gives a shit about the kid. It's just that he gives a shit that this kid doesn't get taken advantage of, and this kid has a choice. Because Ditch's whole life is
so I would sacrifice the kid. Yeah.
Those are hands. You'd sacrifice the
those
kid.
are hands.
To answer the question, I would sacrifice the kid for sure.
Good.
Really?
So we all live.
I think because it hasn't been revealed yet of how Dash is connected to all of, like, the Isilde, like, did the thing and y'all had, like, the orb moment where you all are connected or whatever, but because y'all don't know, like, what exactly that means, it hasn't, like, the second shoe hasn't fallen into place yet. But I think as the story progresses,
soul sisters.
I hate sisters. Like, it's a whole
I think Mal values life too much. He wouldn't sacrifice anyone. He would sacrifice himself before he sacrificed.
I was just about to say, I was totally kidding. Guy would probably sacrifice himself because he's like, I don't really have a fucking life anymore. My life was not that special. So,
Yeah. So, I mean, I'm not trying to, like, make him all noble or anything. I think that's just who he is. Because of how he doesn't know anything about his life. And so but he thinks everyone should have the chance to live their life. But if they're evil, then he really doesn't give a fuck. He'll put you down. That's kind of just the way he is. He's definitely a good aligned character.
Yeah, but what is his barometer? It seems like his barometer is his own. There's no, like, lawful.
No, he's definitely not lawful. but he just looks at things through the lens of good and bad on what he believes is good and bad.
Mhm.
And it's more about personal agency and infringing on others. He doesn't believe people should be allowed to do that to others. And so people who do that to others try to control them, take away their personal agency, take away, harm them, then he views that as evil in his barometer. And that's what he,
Man, that's a huge theme in this campaign. That could literally be the number one theme sticker is like you said, like personal agency, the right to choice and free will and shit like that. That would probably be like the number one theme of this.
Yeah. I
Kind of
agree.
relevant to our society right now.
There's a question of kind of a shift or flip of it. Is there anything you would hate to have happen to your PC other than like death? Well, sometimes death's not the worst thing you think could happen. As y'all are thinking of those answers, I want to go into a little bit of tangent with Brent because like he's been in enough of my campaigns, him, Queen, enough to know like what my DM focus is as like I think in a lot of ways you come across different DMs that like they might try like hit you heavy with like really powerful creatures and stuff so that you can figure out like combat wise what's the best way to approach this situation. But for me, I think the thing I like the most as being a dungeon master is seeing what that player agency is, seeing what drives the individual characters for their motives, and then I like to take that specific thing and then flip it in a way
He does.
where they're forced to make a multiple very difficult decisions that are directly reflected on who they are as people. Like an example would be one campaign that was like a home one that Brent was in, Sarah was in, and I had this really bad BBEG. Like he was doing terrible things, like killing people. He was out there doing all this other stuff, and my player agency or like the thing that I did that forced them to like
Nordic was in it too. Nordic was in it too.
Yeah, Nordic was in it as well. The thing I forced them to kind of face was I had essentially the BBEG reincarnated as a younger version of himself who hadn't done all these terrible things, and then I
child.
put him
Like a 5-year-old
as the ward of Brent's character. So he was in charge of the guy that was just like killing a bunch of people and like doing all this stuff. So his character had that to do, and then like the things that like Queen's character had faced, like they were put in a position of like, do we put this kid down for like things that he hasn't technically done yet, or like do we forgive them? Like it was such good RP in those episodes back in the day because like I got to see the true character behind who all the player was, because like it's one thing to like kill a bad guy, like everyone wants to kill the bad guy, but what do you do when that's like taken away from you? And
But you did more than that to my character. I was playing a I was trying to play
alignment.
I was trying to play a lawful good paladin, and he did shit that made me choose. I became neutral good. I mean, he was like changing my alignment because of the decisions he was forcing on me, and it was like it was not a good. I was having to choose between the lesser of two evils, and by even choosing the lesser of two evils, it still changed my alignment because I was in a position where I couldn't refuse to choose, and it sucked. It really sucked. And
yeah, that's a hard position to play for a lawful good paladin.
To be fair, I like tricked them early on in the
you
beginning of
did.
the campaign because I had them hastily kill somebody that
in
was
the
a
first
lot more
episode
influential than any of them really knew at the time, and it was based on their perception of what this other, like the person who died's brother related as. He's like, oh, he's a terrible person, which technically they're all terrible people, but like, where do you draw the line between who's the most terrible? But yeah, I love seeing those types of things in characters. Same campaign as where I took Little Will's Pegasus and I made him a horse. Like, I love those types of things because I don't know, those hit a little bit differently than if you just, pass out in a battle and then get revived like a couple of seconds later. It's like, yeah, y'all defeated the whoever it is, but did we change as individuals or like learn anything? But yeah, going back, is there anything you would hate to happen to your character at present that you can think of?
I would hate for my character to have to be put in charge of a toddler. I don't want that to ever happen to me again in my characters.
That was like
I'm playing
one and a half
fantasy.
episodes, and then we sent him off to like band camp.
Yeah, but still, it's like, how do you deal with that? Or what are you gonna do? I mean, you don't have a wife to send him home to, or a husband, or my wife. You don't have anybody to send him home to. It was like, how do you carry a toddler along adventuring and trying to solve, take him to these horrible, dangerous places? And it's like, I don't want that to ever happen again in my character. What we're doing here in this campaign is totally different. He's a 20-year-old.
Yeah, he's.
We call him a kid because he's younger than all of us, and we're all.
I think he's the same age as Narissa.
Maybe the same age as Nox or Narissa, but I thought Narissa was a little bit older. I may be wrong.
He's a kid.
Yeah, they're all kids, but we keep calling
compared
him
to
the kid.
Guy and Maul, yeah, definitely, they're kids. Like the whole party essentially is a bunch of kids, but yeah,
These damn kids.
Things I would hate for my character. I would be really kind of bummed if I got like a ton of magical items and maybe like a castle. Like it would be really hard on my character stacks if like, I don't know, I accidentally leveled up like 2 or 3 more levels than everybody else.
oh yeah,
Yeah, that must be
I
hard.
mean,
That would
the
be.
worst.
It's stuff like that really like would really do some character development on my end. So I would go with something like
yeah,
that.
it definitely will, because those levels, like, they have attachments to them. And after I've seen how Brennan Lee Mulligan treats magical items, I might just be generous and start giving them out a lot more frequently so y'all can load up on them for no particular reason at all. I keep saying this to Brent even though he hasn't seen Calamity yet, and I'm just like,
I just started it yesterday. I watched the first 2 hours of the first episode, so yeah.
No, but to do a serious answer, me the player, I mean, you could do anything. I really don't like it. I'm excited to play Ditch in any facet, like any circumstance. I'm just really excited to play him, and I think my role playing, and you've seen it here, maybe you've seen it in some old Ukador stuff, is all really improvisational. So the character, is acting his way, and I mean, I'm very much in the character when I'm playing him. But anything I say, do, decisions on the fly, decisions, like when we plan them, they're all very much in character and made on the fly. And I really, as a player, enjoy doing that. So I don't see a way I want him to go. I don't have a vision. In a weird way, I don't really have attachments to him. I'm just excited to play him. And if death is something that I have to, play, then I'm happy to do that, and then roll another character and play that character. I'm just excited. Hey, I'm just excited to be here, folks. I'm just happy to be here.
I found out a long time ago that death is like the least worst thing that could happen to your character after I figured out how the game works.
Whatever it is.
Like,
I would say the worst thing that could happen to my character would be something that I personally Corey did that was out of character in the moment that I then will like. It's nothing you can do. That like I feel like, and I welcome you to do it. But it anything that's really gonna have me like it like really like thinking about it is something that I'm like, God, I don't think Ditch would have done that in the moment. And maybe it's something that I made, and I used to do it a lot more when I was younger and when I didn't play a lot of D&D. But and it's something that I think everybody can agree on. And when you're new at the game, you have an idea about how you want your character to be, and then all of a sudden you find yourself making choices that you, the player, like you, if you were standing in their shoes, you would make, and then you're like,
Yeah.
God, that's not what
Makes
they
no
would have made.
sense.
That's not what they would have
Exactly.
made. So I've worked
Yeah.
really hard on making sure that when I'm playing a character, I'm 100% into that character and making the choices that character would make,
Right.
and
Yeah,
and trying to keep Corey out of it.
Yeah, that's super important. Because yeah, that will become a regret, because then it's just kind of like I'm not actually playing a fantasy game, so to speak. I'm playing real life with a different voice and stuff. And so those are mechanics that I usually try to activate too. I mean, just as like mechanically, all my characters usually have some sort of like voice or quirk within the voice tonally or anything like that. Um, and usually, yeah, it's just something that kind of like, and that helps me get into that like mind frame, reminds me constantly of this
Yeah.
character. I'm playing this character, and like, so all of my decisions are, it's that little like catalyst, little jump start to get you
Yeah.
into the game, rather
I
than like just, because then you can like easily get too relaxed, too comfortable maybe, and just start just making decisions like, well, I think that's good, I think that's bad.
Yeah, I
So
think
yeah.
I agree with you like 100%. And I think when you're talking about, like the voice, you're like when I tell people like when I'm DMing, I'm like, make up a voice, do a voice, and like if they're falling out of their voice, or their voice is way too close to how they sound, I like I go like, look, you gotta find the voice, because the voice, I'm not looking just for a funny voice. I don't want you to be like, oh, look at me. Like, I want the voice to be a tool to help you get in character. Because if you're working so hard on making sure you have this like voice that's so far from who you are, then you're pulling yourself more out of the character, and you're becoming
Right.
you're able to become the character in the
and
moment.
and I mean, even if it is like close to your voice, and you maybe you don't have like an ability to do that or not, but you're still participating in the game, even if it's just changing the way that you normally speak.
Yeah, I'm not
So the
crapping on.
character is in your voice, but they're still so methodical now. Like they speak differently, or something that you can change that's
I'm not
apart
saying
from
everybody
you.
has to be a voice actor. God knows I'm not. I'm just saying,
Yeah.
it's like the more you can pull, like even if you're embarrassed about it, even if you don't, if you tell yourself, I can't do it, I can't do voices, like even if just if you force yourself to do that, you'll find it's going to be so much easier to play this character, because you're like, oh, this character I'm getting into is it's almost like being able to put on a costume. Of course, we can't put on, like, we could put on costumes, I guess, DM, but like, it's like putting on a costume. It helps you get out of that character. Anybody on Halloween can put on a mask, and all of a sudden they have the courage to maybe act a little scary or do something different than they would. And that's I find voices and mannerisms. If you ever watch me, I'm always like, I'm active doing it. It's important to do that, because that's your mask, that's your costume, and you're able to wear that and get out of your own head, and now you're the character.
Yeah, perfect.
Like Stacks, I played in multiple games. I don't think there's one voice that's ever been even close to me. Like I'm always trying to push the limit, push a boundary, find something different. I think it's important. That's my own
And
view on that.
for me to answer the question specifically for Guy as a character, I think something that he would hate would be to lose his safe haven, and that really hasn't been like introduced yet. So I mean, I won't like talk too much and like spoil, or whatever. But in a like a very very general sense, it would be really hard for him to get past the fact that he's gotten to a point where he can never go back. You know, the only thing kind of tethering him is gone. You know, that's that's a very general way to put it, but yeah, I think we'll get there in the campaign.
So I have to go. I have to cut out from the Q&A. I've got kids I've got to take care of and some other stuff. So
Can we get a quick answer on Maul? Like what are you what is he fearful of? What's direction you take to see him go?
On where I want to see him go?
Well, what was the question? The question was
what would I not want to happen to my character?
Yeah.
I don't think there's anything specific. I mean, I would hate for him to die just because I invested so much into creating him and who he is and his story. So I would hate for him to die. But if there was ever a moment where it would be right and it would be something he would do, he would certainly be willing to do it. You know, I would hate for that to happen. Although it would be great and dramatic, but I would hate for it to happen. But I would want, I guess, I would hate for something to happen where he made a choice that was really hard to make and for it to have turned out meaningless. You know what I mean? Something that he sacrificed in order to make a huge choice and decision, and it turned out for nothing. And that's, I mean, I would hate that for him, but that would also be a dramatic and I guess could be a pivotal moment in the game.
Yeah, I get that.
So anyway, that's kind of where I'm at with him. In terms of, I don't want that to happen to him. Just for the sake. Yeah.
Yeah. It was fucking heart wrenching when you know, I think back to like something like you know, Avengers Infinity War when Scarlet Witch had to make the choice to kill Vision and then Thanos just turned the clock back and it was useless and it was like this huge.
Yeah.
I mean, it's terrifying.
Perfect.
It's absolutely terrifying.
And that's exactly, I guess that's a perfect analogy. But it made for a great story moment. So that's why I'm like, I don't want it to happen, but if it happened, yeah, I mean, it would be impactful on the entire campaign. So yeah.
You can't see it right now, but I can see Stax is just typing really quick.
I'm gonna text Stax after this and like, you better not fucking do that to me, man. You better not do it.
What are you
better not.
about? What? No.
All right. Well, I will talk to you guys later. It was good being here for the Q&A. But I have to cut out, and I will talk to you all next week and see you all same bat time, same bat channel, all that good stuff.
Bye, buddy.
All right.
Joy.
Thanks, Brent. See ya.
Bye.
We have about 30 more minutes before even we will cut out. But let me fix the overlay real quick. Next question. Let's mix it up here a little bit.
There are more questions. Wow, guys.
More questions? Let's go.
I think we might have caught up in chat. Maybe.
Nice.
Unless there's... Wait, there was one that wasn't a question that was asked.
Ooh.
Not a question. That was asked. Okay. How does that work?
Like, they couldn't redeem it yet, so...
You're a dum-dum?
we got
I
have
put it on a
message here.
2-minute
You guys
timer
are
so, like,
nerds.
they could redeem it during that moment of redemption.
Ooh, somebody's selling that beanie, bro. G-dubs.
Oh,
Thanks,
yeah.
G-dubs.
There's so many things that...
Can we talk about really quick? I mean, it would have been better with more people here, but overall, how are you feeling about the campaign stacks? Like, are you happy with decisions you made? Are you happy? Do you have any comments as far as like things maybe the players could do a little bit better? Maybe
Sure. Give us some critiques. I got my
yeah, I want
notepad.
some critiques. What do you call it? Like I want an annual review right now.
Annual review, episode
sit me
7.
sit me down in the meeting room.
Yeah.
Pull out your Google Doc.
So I kind of did this for the Dawn's Q&A as well, where I kind of, but I'm also in a little bit more of a predicament because for the most part, I know your characters almost about as well as the players do for them, depending on like backstory and stuff. So without revealing any of those nodes, how things are presently, I'll start with Corey. So Ditch was always like a bit hush hush when it came to like how I thought he would get implemented into Achordia, like the whole party dynamic. You gave us like teaser bits. I'll call them teaser bits. When we had like our group session of everyone kind of meeting each other for the first time.
Yeah.
And I kind of got like an idea of how Ditch was going to be, but then the campaign started and then we got the real Ditch, or at least the real Ditch that Ditch is choosing to show us at this particular moment. And it was so much different than what like my brain had fathomed up until that point. And I'm just like, this is so good. This is like gold. And I'm just like lapping it up like feverishly, just trying to like make sure I keep, cause like I had to watch was it the first episode? It might have been the first episode again to catch all of the like different guy, who is your cadence based off of?
Jack Nicholson.
Jack Nicholson.
Yeah,
I had to like
Jack Nicholson
look up
references.
Jack Nicholson movies to catch all the things that like Corey Ditch was saying that was like funny, because like I don't get a lot of the movie references just offhand because there's like a lot of pop culture I haven't watched. But I was like, this is so fucking good. What the fuck? But I think my like shifting factor was when I saw that like finally got to see what is underneath the first layer of the onion that is Ditch, when you get to see like a little bit of humanity behind, even if it's like brief, even if he's not going into depths about it, like wow, like you don't got a choice or anything like that, like just the small glimpses of like that's the real Ditch. Like all this other stuff, it's great, it's good, but who is this other person that we're only getting like?
Yeah, it comes out very it comes out, I wouldn't say random, but it is sort of this. It's usually a burst. It's usually, what would you call it, a trigger.
Mm-hmm.
So he's I mean, you're dealing with somebody who is born from trauma and is just thrown on mask after mask to try to like
Right.
to deal with it and to be in part of society and stuff like this. So there's certain triggers that hit and that really sometimes feel like they're coming out of nowhere, but I'm very conscious of like when I can feel something, like it's any time where, you know, like I guess I don't want to give it away. I do want it to come out in character, but they are very conscious triggers, and that's kind of when you start to see who he is and what he's about and stuff like that. As far as backstory and stuff like that, like again, no spoilers or stuff like that, but it's mundane. It's mundane. Like, I mean, like it's sort of the same way you could write a book about anybody's life and the right writer could make it sound interesting and enthralling, or you could summarize somebody's life in a couple sentences and it would sound boring and sad and lonely. And I think the way I play Ditch, and what I want to give, you know, the audience is sort of those two sentences that it's boring side. Like, look, we all know it. We all heard that, like, oh, poor goblin born in the streets, and I'm sure people have taken advantage of him, and he's had to learn how to fend for himself and survive. Blah, that's him. Blah, and so it's about taking that and then making sure the audience and the other PCs and you even Stacks can see that there's like that, like that's never anybody. That's never anybody. Like there's so many layers and so many things that like really affect somebody. So it's really important. It's really important to me that it's not a character that sits down and has the movie, the movie style, what is it called? Like just like lore dumps or like exposition. Like he's not one that's gonna be like, when I was born to a mother and father who were then killed by a dragon, I had to fight. Like he's never gonna do that. He doesn't want to do that. Me as a player never wants to give that lore dump, and it should all come out organically and in ticks, in habits, in triggers, and just that's how I embrace and that's how I approach role playing. So I apologize. I'm sure you want the Ditch biography. But it's got to be character. That's the only way that I think Ditch can be interesting, in my opinion.
Yeah, I kind of see what you were talking about, or the point you touched on was like, yeah, that is interesting. I mean, from like a very like surface level, like someone's summary, their story, their personality seems like a cliche, right? But it's always, for them, it's like, I lived it, and it's completely not that, like it can't be, it is not just those pigeonholed into this one thing.
Exactly.
But for me to just tell you or tell this person that I met, when I know your perspective is you're perceiving it as a cliche. So as I say it, I feel like it's just lame and I'm saying a cliche. Otherwise, but to me, it's moments, it's life, it's experiences I've had that I can't put into words almost.
Exactly. I think it's important, like you want to learn from the character, not through exposition, not through just dialogue. You want to learn through, the pain in their eyes when they hear, somebody say something to them that actually hits on them, or like the giddiness of just a small, like something that should be mundane, they get giddy over that you can feel is like a nostalgic like trigger, like that's something from the, like, oh, like they really like cupcakes all of a sudden, like it's really important. Like, and I usually do all my characters like that. Like do you remember Muriel Stacks? Mm-hmm. I played this old grandmother bard.
Everybody loved her.
Who is a halfling, and she didn't know she was a bard. Her whole life had always been a mother to children, grandchildren, and a devoted wife, and always made the food on time, and always had these like home remedies that actually ended up being like bardic spells that she didn't know she was casting. Like she could like talk to animals and like, or not talk to them, but like one of her spells was like command animal or something like that. But she just was like, I just learned this on the farm. This is just what you do with animals. And so like she had all these things, and her whole she never had a backstory. She couldn't tell you like, this is when I was born, this and these are my, but she would sprinkle them in. So like anytime that she would be talking or trying to give a piece of advice or wisdom, it would always be a story about like, my third grandson, Jonathan, he used to always jump in that creek. And I would say, Jonathan, don't you dare jump in that creek. It's too cold. You can only jump in that creek in the summertime. But he would jump in that creek. And then one time he jumped in, and I swear to goodness, he got sick for a week. And we just had to put him up in blankets. So we try not to jump in the creek without knowing if it's warm or cold or not. So like it's all these stories, and like all she's saying is like, let's not jump in the cold water. But she has to, and then all of a sudden like there's a third grandson that's born, and then there's a story of like, now there's a creek on her farm, and so like that, it's so like you're watching like everybody, the DM, the players, the audience is, even me, the person who's improvising here, is all now learning a new like weird thing about her. That's it. So that I feel like the characters really come alive in those moments.
Yeah.
Sorry, I'm talking too much, but yeah.
Oh no.
Everyone loved her. I loved her too. I love Muriel.
Muriel.
She sounds like a great lady.
Muriel. Oh gosh. So the next question will kind of go into my analysis of Guy as well, and it's Stacks. Do any of your Dawn of or Dusk of Achordia NPCs have reference to or inspiration from anything or anything else in the world, like locations or events? Yes and no, and also more yes to all of this. And the easiest way is I like to give my players leeway when it comes to world building, because if you're going to play a character that's going to be in this fantastical world, then your ideas of like what you could see being a part of that world should have like some kind of like weight or hold within it. Like a DM should never just be like, nah, that's not in my world, it's not happening, sort of thing. So a lot of what Achordia's become, what Diademia's become, is based off of the decisions and stuff that the players, as putting their characters into it, have contributed. So when it comes to Guy, Zach gave me like, he's like, I want this whole like family tree of people that are NPCs that you gotta play, Stacks. You can call them whatever you want, but like here they are. This is what their like personalities are and stuff. And I as a DM, I love that kind of stuff because it's just like it's almost less work for me, because then I'm not like pulling from something that wasn't there originally. And it helps to make it a little bit more real when it comes to fruition. Because like when Guy finally did make it back to his family, and you had that inner monologue or like inner dialogue between you and like your father figure sort of thing, like it was a lot more real to me, because that was a character that you created and I'm just playing as them in this moment. Like if the roles were reversed and you went back, like I could have made someone and told you, okay, you care about XYZ person,
Right,
but it's not
right.
the same sort of deal, because like there's no,
It's not
no other
integrated into this
connections.
character that I created, that me as a player is connecting with. So there's that, you know, if like you said, if you're just throwing in somebody random, there's a disconnect for me. I mean, yeah, I can interact with them, but like you said, I think it's a little bit more impactful, easier to have the conversations
But
and all that.
in that same sentence, I'm like a freaking devil's advocate to myself. You have players like Corey who they play their characters in the moment, and those are also like very interesting characters to build off of, because they're very receptive to whatever like the DM
Sure,
gives to them. And the directions that like Guy will go and like Ditch will go, I imagine will be like completely, hopefully two different directions, but because of who the characters are, it's going to be interesting to see how like Guy's relationships with his family and the other people that he knows builds, and then like Ditch discovering more things about himself builds. And also, little caveat, as a DM, I kind of do y'all a disservice when it comes to my NPCs, because me personally, like I'm in all the campaigns, like I'm a player in a lot of things, so I get a lot of chances where I can do kind of like what Corey does, and I can like fully assume the role of my character, figure out what their vices are. But you will almost never catch me, unless it's like a recreated character or something, you will almost never catch me giving you an NPC that has that much like oomph to them on like a just like a conversational basis, because I don't want at any point the NPCs to outshine the player characters, because it's not about it's not their fucking story. Like I don't care. Like, yeah, they're my NPCs, I love them, but it's not their fucking story. So I'm not about to sit here and be like, feel bad for me, or like learn about my story, or do this whole thing, go off into this whole thing, when like it's like that Thanos moment of like, I don't even know who you are. Like, who are you for me to even want to care long enough to do any of this stuff? So I'll give y'all characters that are interworked into the plot, interworked into the main story, overall arc, and everything. You can make those connections however you all decide to choose, but I'm not going to give you a character that will in any way kind of outshine any of the players on any given day, sort of thing, if that makes sense. Now, if you catch me when I'm a player, like it's a game time. Like I'll be giving you some stuff, because I find myself as a player reserved in the aspect that there's some things, and it's always like the meta to player to character conversation, but there's some things as a player I would know, but my character wouldn't do it that way, so I don't have my character like do it or like try and bring it up. Like I think when I first played Whisper, it was like a bunch of episodes before he realized he had Eldritch Blast, and he was a fucking warlock that was like level 11, and it's like, how do you not know you have Eldritch Blast? You're a fucking warlock. So that was
I always try to, like, especially spells and stuff, and like things that are deriving from like just this innate ability maybe, or just like I always try to associate and make that kind of organically happen with the character.
It's hard sometimes though.
Like, because I mean, eventually you get in a battle and you've used like all but one spell slot, and you're like, well, we haven't introduced this spell yet, but
that's something that's something I really really respected and liked, Zach, about your character, is and your playing of them is the almost that fight. It was, I think it was even our first fight, maybe, that realization of like, whoa, what was that? Like that, it was like fear and confusion of like when you like just laid into that guy, and we're like, why, how, where did that come, like what? And it was that sort of that it was a fun nugget of like, oh, this dude doesn't know he's a monk, like he does, like so and I do like that. I'm excited to see where that goes. Like it's I also really enjoy the story aspect of like we're this class, but not everybody went to monk class, not everybody went to rogue class, right? And you're like, oh, I like it was more like I like it, like I've always been a huge fan of the canon of like mutants or like the like finding powers and learning of stuff. That was really fun to watch happen.
Yeah, I mean, for Guy, it's literally, this just happened to him. It's like, I gotta learn. I wasn't born this way, like I'm finding a way to work with it, to do it and deal with it, and everything that comes with it, which we'll hopefully find out in the near future. But I really like those characters. I think I probably should get away from it on my next character build, because like the last couple I've created have just been like, this person, this thing at the beginning of the campaign was afflicted upon them, and now they're trying. So it's almost like starting with a new character, but with an old character. Does that make sense? Like, you have an old character, and this is how their life has been, and this thing. So when we're jumping in the campaign, they have backstory, but now it's completely different, but I might get away from that on my next build. Maybe do just somebody who's always been and will always be the way they are.
Sometimes it's hard to play those characters, because like at the same time you're learning, like your group's dynamic. The same time you're developing relationships with all these people, and the same time you're having to travel this new adventure or path that's also in its own right has choices and decisions and complications and stresses, it's hard to compound on top of all of that. Now having to find yourself, kind of thing, like
Sure.
that.
Yeah.
So I'm not saying not to. I'm just
It
saying
is.
like
Yeah.
it's complicated for a player. It's complicated for the actual character. It's kind of be going through all that and like the hardest thing for any of us performers or like in improvisation in general is to really figure out how we would deal with something, and then to throw all these other factors in, and then be like, now think of what your decision would be on the fly is really tough. And that's where I find myself personally getting into problems where I'm like, then I'm like, oh, would I make that choice actually if I thought about it, because I would probably be more worried about so I think you're doing it beautifully.
Yeah, and you're totally right. It is hard, and I think that's smart with the way you've done Ditch. I mean, it's another tool that you're setting yourself up, because you already have this baseline that you don't have to worry about, and that can help you take on all these other interactions and effectively do them as the character. And I mean, that's it's another great tool to use. Guys, go ahead and subscribe to the masterclass below.
Ooh, look, we're pretty much professionals. We're doing a signing next week. We sound like such pricks. I apologize.
I know. Ashley King has rolled her eyes 38 times.
Yeah, I feel like
in the future, if she listens to this, she's gonna roll her eyes 38 times.
There needs to be a caveat, like right about here, that says like never acted in his life, like never been a performer in his life.
It just
doesn't know what the fuck he's
at the
talking
bottom.
about. Please do not follow this person. Yeah, exactly.
I think we have time for one more question. And while y'all are thinking of the answer for this, I'll go into the other three characters and give them kind of like their report card, because I wasn't able to do that for them before. But the question that y'all have to think about is, what are the lifelong goals of the PCs? Do they imagine retirement, or would their lavish wishes bring them for retirement? And while y'all think of that, so I'll go into Maul's character. His report card essentially would be, I as a DM am very excited of what lore will come out of Maul's story, only because like it'll be a way for Britt to learn about his character and also Maul to learn about himself in the same kind of like window space, which is unique because like when we first created his character, I didn't really give him, like I gave him ideas of what he is possibly, but I didn't give him like solidified, like, this is your backstory now, Jeffafa. But so that's gonna be fun to see how he reacts to all of that, and kind of got like tidbits of it from last episode. Nox, love her to death. She reminds me of like so many people that I also love, and it's like beyond just like the Valley Girl type personality thing. It's the way, it's like, I think because I've DM'd for Ashley a bunch and also played in a campaign with her as a player, it's the way Ashley's cadence is with her characters that always gets me as a player laughing outside of myself from what my character would be doing in that moment, because like I think we're the masters of facial expressions, and we could just like give each other a look and just start laughing. Like, watch all the VODs, it's there. So seeing Nox's character develop is also going to be fun, because she's also in a role that's going to be very pivotal for everybody going forward. And then Narissa, I love her the most because she, like, you would think Ditch would be the wild card. Like, he's established himself as the wild card. Like, he's
I think I'm predictable. I think I'm predictable in the
fact
wildness.
that you're the predictable wild card. But Narissa, we don't know anything about this girl, and she is still choosing to follow all of you. And
I think she makes bread.
Oh yeah, and she makes like sick bread, bro.
I think she makes bread.
And
the
she's
only
able,
thing I know.
and she's able to like slink under the moments where her character could be revealed. And it's like, no, guys, she deflects. She's a deflector. Now I'm on to something. Okay.
There is a weird thing where Ditch respects her more than anybody in the group. Like
I think at that moment when y'all were in the hallway at Widget's house,
yeah,
and y'all
Yeah.
talked, and like Ditch was trying to do his thing where he just like blows her off, and she's like, no, no, no.
it was sort of that, but it was also sort of like, I mean, like Ditch is very known for like just like quick threats that aren't supposed to be threat, like I don't care. I could watch you die. I'd sell you off. I'd kill you if I could. If it would make me a coin. And I think she, like at one point, Narissa was like, "Don't you ever threaten me." Or,
like no one's ever stood up for themselves in the moment where.
Yeah.
But yeah.
The question: life and goals, PCs. What do they imagine retirement? I mean, look, there's the shallow answer. Ditch is always going to say, you know, like, I just want as much gold. I want as much land. I want people working for me. I don't want to ever have to lift a finger again. But I mean, I think something, and it's not spoilery, but I think what everybody really does kind of see when Ditch is in the moment, he needs all of this. He needs everything. He needs the action. He needs and it's like he's not living unless he's close to death at all times, and he's like,
Right.
and he doesn't know it, but clearly he needs people. The only problem is I think he does struggle with a lot of sort of like, you know, like this idea that, oh, I could always find more, you know, this like is like up to this point and still probably in his mind like, oh, it's fine if somebody dies or we need to sacrifice somebody or they just like whatever, we'll find there's more people. But he really does need, and he really likes to be the, you know, like the loner and stuff like that. But clearly he needs people. He needs people around him. He really just doesn't know like how alone he truly is. But what he really has to work on is the fact that attachment is okay, you know. And I think it's somebody, and you know, trauma has shown time and time again outside of role playing or anything, but that sometimes people need to be told that, people need to learn it, people need to be shown that. And I think that's slowly what's going to happen. And it's so scary for anybody that's dealt with the trauma of not being good enough, or you know, not feeling wanted or needed, to flip and push him away and be scared of it. And that's all what he's dealing with. I mean, I really hope it's not triggering to any audience, but that it really is. It's a character dealing with trauma. A highly, like, I think it's easy to be like, oh, he's a psychopath. Oh, he doesn't give like, but like you're like, oh, he'll kill indiscriminately. And some of that's true, but it's really just a character dealing with trauma.
Yeah.
So
it's funny that you
so
said-
to answer the question, in the end, he doesn't even know. He has no clue.
It's fun that you said triggering, because like I think there's almost something cathartic in D&D, especially like in our after sessions where we're like winding down and talking about the thing that happened that day. Like there's something that I think almost like full circles you back into your next session, whether you have it or not, because that's how D&D goes. Like campaigns die all the time. But as we talk about it, like there's so many good moments and so many things in like real life that are just like so real that like D&D has a way to like help you with that
yeah.
you can get through those.
It's therapy.
Yeah, people use it as therapy all the time. Like even therapists use it like in their practice. Like, of course it is. I mean, like me, I'm constantly killing indiscriminately for money, and this is a way for me to really deal with my own trauma. But yeah, that's my answer.
What about Guy? Does he have a happy ending?
I mean, that's a hard question because it's like, I mean, is it lifelong goals that like Guy at the beginning of this maybe saw in his future, or like, am I as a player thinking where Guy's headed? Am I trying to interweave that into what I think his lifelong goals will become, or
Answer it right now, right? I think right now, like the session we're in, like where, like what's the end game? What's the end goal?
Well, I think for like where he's at now, I mean, it's actually pretty simple. I think, I don't think he ever needed or wanted to be doing what he's doing. Maybe not necessarily wanted. I mean, he only wanted to do it to feel wanted. But like once he found a comfortable spot and a place that made him without no a place and persons that made him feel that want, that safety, that security, no matter if he was what he was providing them. I think that's kind of his like, can I get back there? Can I, I see Guy being, he just wants to be in a fucking garden, waking up sipping his herbal tea and his fucking Birkenstocks, like right now he's hard drinking whiskey and very pessimistic, but like really where he'll bloom and thrive as a like quote unquote retirement, his lifelong goal is to just enjoy not having to feel like he has to give somebody something. And there's a certain persons that does that for him, so it's kind of like, yeah, it's kind of tied to this relationship, but like I said, it's very simplistic. It's enjoying all of the sensory parts of life in a very simple way. What it will become, I don't really know. I think a fear for him, or where, is just not losing that foothold, like not losing the grip on, maybe that's not what he'll want at the end of all this, but at least have that to hold on to, because it could be, otherwise it could be useless or very detrimental for him, and he'll get nothing that he could even want out of life. So yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard to put into like lifelong goals and retirement stuff, but I do just, I just like the idea of him. He's just a little bit of a hard exterior, casts his drinks, whatever, seems pessimistic about things at times, but his goal is like a happy place for him is picking flowers, drinking tea, enjoying a sunrise. Like I think that actually is kind of a picturesque frame for him at the end of life.
Yeah, I wouldn't tell Ditch that because I think he'd want to kill him.
Yeah, possibly. I mean, yeah, and nor would he, because that's giving people
That's a lot.
who can manipulate him. That's giving people too much. That's giving people way too much information, because information and money, they just circulate. That's Guy's thing, and they hold power.
We were talking about dynamics earlier, like Maul and Ditch when they hang out, but I like how Guy and Ditch's dynamic is, because essentially they're like, this is the coolest person I've ever seen, like constantly at each other from different perspectives.
Ditch does, because Ditch is very he's very obsessed with looks, right? And thinks like he's very much the guy that would wear a band shirt to a to the concert that he's going to, because he thinks that's the coolest shit in the world. Like, so when he saw Guy who was, he's just wearing his clothes, and Ditch is like, oh, Your costume's awesome. That's
Yeah.
radical. Like he like loved it. Like he was super into it instantly. Yeah, like that. He definitely looks up to him in the idea that Guy is very much sort of a rock star to Ditch.
Sure. Yeah. Yeah. And I think I think for Ditch or for Guy, like his relationship with Ditch is, Guy's never going to judge a single person creature. I mean, really, because he wouldn't want that for himself. He knows what it's like to be at the lowest of the low, highest of the high, that sort of thing. And so to watch someone, it's almost like Guy's kind of like looking at Ditch of like the person that, like a party or something like that, who you go, if you say his name 3 times, he'll do a backflip, or like he'll jump off the roof of the house if you didn't say his name 3 times, or like you cheer him on,
Exactly.
or what the fuck ever, and I think Guy's kind of like, maybe not necessarily the person that eggs it on, but is the person that likes to watch in that splendor. Like he's very fascinated of what will he do next, and how, and also at the same time, I think it's because he wants to see the reaches of, he definitely wants to see the reaches, so that he can maybe in those moments get a glimpse of what's behind the mask of him, because there's a lot of telling in action. So the more he sees him do repetition, the more he certain circumstances, the more questions he asks him, he's able to find out what actually, it's very funny, because rarely does someone ever actually believe wholeheartedly, and if they tell you they only care about a couple things, it's probably not true. Like, or like if an NPC came up to you and was like, "I'm a good guy, guys, trust me, I'm a good guy," you'll be like, there's something else going on there. So I mean, from the very get-go, Ditch was, I only care about gold. And then there was moments that paired with that, and for like so that just says, no, there's something else that you care about, because the more you're telling me, the more I just don't believe that that's the
Yeah.
complete, what you completely are and what you believe in and stuff like that. So how are ways that I can sit back and kind of observe these different environments that you're put in to find out who you really are, in a sense. But yeah, and I will say that for me as a player, that's probably also me as I'm imposing that a little bit onto the situation.
Zach likes to watch people at parties do stupid shit.
Well, no, I'm just saying, like, me as a player is kind of imposing, like, trying to break Ditch down to get him to, who he really is.
Good
that
fucking
sort of
luck.
thing.
You'll get stabbed before that happened, baby.
Yeah, well,
So when can people watch all these super cool characters we've been talking about? Stacks?
Luckily for all of the chat here, we'll be back next week for Dusk
I'm
of
so
Achordia.
excited. I am so excited.
7 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. We should have everybody except Narissa, if I'm not mistaken. But our other Ashley is in a play currently, so we wish her a lot of success in her acting career. But look forward to her also returning probably in September, because we only have 2 episodes in August. So
Nice.
It's gonna be great. But thank you everybody today. Thank you, Lady
seriously, thank you,
Chaotic, for
everybody.
the raid. That was awesome. Thank you everyone that stuck around, who asked all the lovely questions, who reprimanded me for putting it on a 2-minute timer because that apparently didn't help. But thanks everybody. We
Subscribe
are
on YouTube. Subscribe right here.
subscribe
Follow.
here, follow YouTube.
See you next week. And
Staxy Monster.
and if you've got time and you want to check me out, because I think I'm actually going to start streaming again. I'm at Giggle Fairies, Giggle_Fairies. We're going to do some fun magic content, video game content, all that fun stuff. So
Nice.
Oh, cool.
We are going to get ready to raid Dr. Diz DM. They are, I think, having a discussion of their last episode in their campaign. So once you get there, if you have them, throw some raid wrenches at them, because everyone loves dodging our Dungeon Mechanics raid wrenches. But yeah, thanks again, and we
dodge a
will
wrench, you can
catch
dodge a
you
ball.
all on exactly on the flip side.
bye, guys.
Bye, everybody.